Welcome to Tekedia Daily. I'm Ndubuisi Ekekwe. Our conversation today we focus on how great technology companies, or not just technology companies, are using primitive models for scale. The question here is this: what is really primitive? And I begin this by looking at the basic units of life. We talk about cells, we talk about tissues, organs, and systems, and they are organized in different ways in order for us to have a system. And if you go into the world of computing, we have the primitives. And if a company builds its technology infrastructure, or if a company structure its business model based on some of these primitives, it could be technology primitives, it could be business process primitives, there is always a higher chance that you will succeed. So in platform companies especially, we have these constructs that you want to have these building blocks of computing. You get them out there so that developers, people that you expect to build upon those platforms can get them as quickly as possible. So you provide it, you get aware of the system. Don't try to micromanage what exactly they are going to do with it, because they are going to do great things that you might not have even imagined. And as they begin to do that, you begin to task them. In other words, they pay fees. You take a percentage of the total revenue, just like we have in iOS platform and we have in the Google Play. So, in one of the companies that we can today look into Facebook, how did Facebook basically take over MySpace? It has to do with primitives. MySpace was built as a system that did not take into consideration that people may like to build plugins. People may like to connect into that ecosystem in order for companies to actually reach to those customers that are following them. Facebook came and provided that. And that became the centerpiece that made it possible for corporations to actually adopt Facebook over MySpace. Then you have the Amazon cloud. Amazon cloud is built on pieces of primitives. These are building blocks in cloud architecture. Excuse me. Unlike the IBM cloud, where you just take it or you leave it. There is no level of flexibility. There is no level. Of course, IBM is redesigning that business strategy now. So when you have these primitives, you essentially bring in that the developers will have a kind of autonomy, and that gives them the opportunity for them to have higher level of flexibility. It is a business model that makes sense, and Amazon was able to use this and build one of the biggest corporations within a corporation. So it gives you scale, and you need it if you are looking for scale, because without the elements of primitives, people that are going to build on your platform may not necessarily have the capacity to build all those pieces themselves. It's all about breaking your infrastructure into the smallest, simplest atomic components so that when people now begin to build upon your technology system, they now have the capacity to rearrange them, realign them based on the specific needs. It has to be largely free, especially the initial upfront cost. It has to be zero. And you also have to make it flexible and then accessible for developers to work. We have seen that in storage, you see that in computing, we see the database. So most institutions are understanding the importance of primitives. And it's also something that you just build it even for your own company internally, not necessarily just for developers. It's a very solid business process that even in centers of excellence, a company has to focus on building primitives that can be reused. So I'm going to look into three companies in Nigeria. One, MTN Cloud and Rack Center. These are largely data center companies that are delivering different level of services to companies within the technology domain. So for me, I would tell them that they need to get back to building primitives in their cloud infrastructure that not that we be using those primitives, but also for a concatenation of different SMEs, developers, companies, banks, financial institutions like insurance companies, and even government can use. But they now have to specialize for the African business because they need to differentiate themselves in so many ways so that people will find value in what they're delivering. And as they are doing this, they don't have to try thinking specifically what are they going to do with this thing. You know, there is a need to power the digital economy, and these companies actually have the best opportunity to build an infrastructure that can power the digital economy. And then when they power that digital economy, they can see a higher level of revenue, even with a higher level of margin, because scale will come. And that scale is something that delivers a huge task that they can just enjoy while people are working, they'll be taking their percentage. It's more of how do you deliver enterprise grade computing solutions to small companies in Nigeria that are going to solve some localized problems in areas of taxation, the area of compliance, in the area of insurance needs that no company in America or Europe can understand to solve. How do you make it possible that these companies and developers can come without any upfront cost, but they have these enterprise grade computing solutions? How do you ensure that these solutions that they are developing have higher quality, higher level of sophistication, are also scalable? You're looking at applications. And then how do you bring that equality, irrespective of whether it's a student, SME, or a bank? They have this massive cost competitiveness because your primitives upon which everyone is going to use has actually enabled that to happen. So you see something like this, you provide the scale and you have the positioning. You have the code, the database, the notification systems, the primitives that there you have, the couple modular components, the storage, the bandwidth, data center, and switches. And inside there, you deliver a solution of web services that people can now come here to have subscription, come here to buy. And as they are buying this, you are essentially making a lot of money from them. So that is going to be the future. And companies like Mewa, Center, and TF Cloud have to spend a lot of effort building primitives that are relevant for the 21st century African business. This goes beyond just picking what a foreign company has given them. There are so many structures that are inherent in the African system that no one can build outside Africa. For instance, how can we make it possible that corruption is largely eliminated? By making sure that systems are electronically built, procurement is electronically integrated in the way our governance system is structured. These can be a primitive that a government agency or a state government can buy, having access to storage, data center, and switches and bandwidth, and now tap into that primitive in order to deliver services to its citizens. Cases are abound. Cases abound. Amazon Web Service has a lot of primitive. Alibaba is basically a primitive of marketplace. They provide all these solutions, payment infrastructure, logistic infrastructure, making it possible that when you connect to sell on their system, they take care of you. Even Windows, there are so many things that are already there. And when you just get into Windows and Android, you begin to do great things. We have seen what Alexa is doing in the area of voice, computing, Nest, in home, and then I love GTB technology because I have actually experienced with GTB. When you have this construct of working with GPU engineers, they are always in small teams, very fast, and they are largely kind of autonomous with their level of giving you the capability for you to actually get things done. I think it's one of the companies that can actually help you get things done. They are very fast, they are very nimble, and they demonstrate a high level of autonomy. I don't know whether there are a lot of decentralization internally, but this is a business that I believe is getting how to build basic primitives for the future banking in Nigeria. If you see today, they're taking care of e-commerce, they're taking care of payment, they're taking care of mobile, they're taking care of all these primitives and pieces. And as they begin to evolve and capsulate all these other elements, they are going to offer a solution upon which practically everyone that wants to do banking does not really have any other requirement that they believe that GTB cannot provide. So the question here is this: if you have this primitive, what is going to be what you expect? I tell you that if you have the primitive and you get into scale, you will be simply taxing the ecosystem upon which that primitive runs. And these past people are very happy to pay because they are paying you based on the revenue they are generating, being made possible by the primitives that you have enabled. You're looking at higher revenue for yourself. You can a higher level of profitability for yourself. You can a higher great capital velocity for yourself. You're also looking at stronger returns on invested capital. One of the leading companies in the world have demonstrated this construct is basically Amazon. And that is the reason why the founder of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, is certainly is one of the richest men on earth. Of course, in as much as we are not talking about billions of revenue, it is a business model for people that are looking for how to use the knowledge of the crowd to build a platform business and to get a lot of people building this technology infrastructure in a way that can give the small people opportunity to get in. And when they get in, you lock them up. And I've also said that a company like InterSwitch, Nigeria has to look into how it can build the necessary primitives that will help it to bring in developers in order to accelerate the level of innovation in that company. You are listening to Tekedia Daily.